It has people out and death.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? And we have a special guest with us, Mike Welch. How you doing, my friend?
I'm awesome, man. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome back to the show. It's been a couple years, I guess, man, since you've been
It's
on.
been a minute.
But it's been was a great time the last time. I think we were talking. Man, that was when we had you, Marcel, and Lauren on, right?
That was a good round table. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember it. Honest, was that during COVID?
Yeah, that was probably.
Yeah,
I think
right.
it was during COVID. Yep. And then also you did the pre-show with us for the virtual forms tour.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So lots of fun
Right
stuff.
on. Good to be back.
Yes. What's up, little guy?
You want to say hi, Zachary? Say hi.
Boy,
All right.
I like it. I like it.
The strong silent type over there.
That's right. Not like
time for you to go to bed. Okay. Go tell mommy. She's in Louisiana.
Oh man. All right, guys. So we have lots to talk about today. It's going to be a fun topic. Talking about taking that leap and trying something new. Going to all different things. Opening karate schools, doing tournaments, even trying new things at tournaments, all that stuff. And we're just going to enjoy a discussion, a fun talk, between friends. So hope you guys enjoy and write and join in with the comments. Of course, we got coming up, we have the Ocean State Grand Nationals. So they're coming up March 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd. Go to oceanstategrandnational.net to go ahead and get registered, get your plane tickets if you haven't already, or book that rent-a-car to drive. I have some students taking the drive. It's about 11 hours, I think, so not too bad. So it's going to be a big event, all right? And they are also working with our other sponsor, Virtual Fight Tour. So we're going to have the last man standing. Alex, we love the last man standing because it's what we want to see. We want to see the heavyweight winner versus the lightweight winner, right? A real overall.
Yeah.
The two overall winners go for who's the best. Last year, we got to see Jack Felton versus Elijah Everell. Who knows what's going to happen this year with all the talent and all that money that Ocean State Grand Nationals is giving?
I mean, you said it. It was a lot of exciting stuff that happened and a lot of exciting storylines that happened last year. You know what? So this is typically a tournament where, Team JPM, they all show up because,
right,
well, their coach, it is his tournament, but then also like they wear like a sense of pride, like we're winning this tournament. And
Yeah.
last year they didn't, and so who knows? Maybe they turn it around. They got new team members. We'll see what happens.
We're going to see all kinds of new people.
They do.
Team.
We think about what you said. You had Jack Felton versus Elijah Everell, for the last man standing. I could watch that thing over and over again. That fight
was a great fight.
I mean, Jack's probably fought a few times since then, but I haven't seen it. So, I mean, he's just one of those guys you just never can count out. Yeah. What up, Jeff?
What's up, Jeff? Oh, man. But, yeah, so, I mean, I definitely agree. I think it's just going to be an awesome time. They are given pretty much the full money from pre-COVID money. So it's great to see that. You also see that they're giving the runner-up money again, which I really think is important. Spreading that out a little bit. And especially when you look at their super fights, they're giving the top 8 people who make that some type of prize money. So
never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. What do you hear?
What do you think? No, Alex, there was this one tournament one time where we did.
Yeah.
We get
I'm
first through
sure.
10.
I'm sure I have. Yeah, someone. Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll let you be excited about it. Right?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But Mike, when you hear that, what do you think? Do you get like excited? Like, all right, this is what needs to happen.
No, I do. Actually, I think there's a lot of hype going into Ocean State Grand Nationals. I haven't been there personally in a long time. I haven't been to a lot of tournaments in a long time. But just this year, I think there's been a lot of noise about this tournament. I jumped on the call with the coaches last week, and they were hyping it up. They were talking about a lot of the good things that Ocean State was getting ready for. Christine sent me some information. She was on top of it, which was super helpful. It sounds like they're really trying to reboot this tournament and pump it up and hype it up and make it one of the best again.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. We were sharing some fun stories as well before when they were on about just, 1 year I went and it was on it was at like a theater. I mean, not a theater, amusement park. Right. And so you would finish your division and go and hop on a ride, stuff like that. It was just cool.
That's still crazy to think that was real.
There was one in Mexico that did that too. That was at the Six Flags in Mexico City. Yeah. And literally like it was just people were just going and competing because the divisions were so big there. It was like,
I mean, things like that should continue because that's what makes it fun.
Exactly.
I know another tournament that, is in the water park capital of the world.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet tournament, actually. Yeah, that's coming up in May. That's the Infinity National Championships at the Kalahari. Who doesn't love the Kalahari? If you got kids, it's Mother's Day weekend. You want to be there for sure.
Hey,
we do have prize money.
I'm sorry, Mike. I was cutting you off. My bad.
I mean, we do have prize money. It's not going to match what Ocean State does yet, but our league, the Wisconsin Sport Karate League, we're trying to push it. We're listening to everybody. We're listening to promoters. We're listening to competitors that we're trying to do. We went to pre-registration, I think last year. We're paying our judges. We training our judges and certifying judges. We're trying to stay relevant with the rules. So we're definitely trying to. We don't have such a huge martial arts population in the Wisconsin area that competes. It's been tough to grow those numbers, but I think we're killing it. I think across the board, sport karate is doing really well with numbers wise. And so last year we had some record numbers, and I think we will this year as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's been, I heard record numbers last week at Joey Perry's tournament, like a huge turnout from his, just seeing, of course, AKAs was really big, especially certain divisions. Like we've been talking about with Korean was huge, almost 30 people, in the men's and then over 20 something in the women's, which is, something we consistently saw it get bigger and bigger last year from a whole year. And now we're really seeing it go. So there's so many different things that are growing. So it's awesome to see. One of the things we're going to be talking about is just taking that leap of faith to try something new, to either open up your business, and we'll get into that and why that's the topic. But I just did that today as well. So I'm going to do my first, taking my team to my first AAU Taekwondo tournament this weekend. And so one of the cool things was, it took some time, but I did an 85 question coaches test online today. All right. Well, yesterday and today. But it really was a good process. And I thought it was really cool to see, how other leagues do it. And especially a professional organization like AAU. AAU isn't just karate; it's all the sports, right? Basketball and soccer and everything. And so, seeing what AAU has done, AAU Taekwondo and also AAU Karate, which both of those presidents are now the president and vice president of all of AAU sports. So they've seen like what the martial arts realm is doing, and they're like, okay. You guys have grown your sport so much and made it professional, especially in something, that sometimes has a hard time being professional martial arts. And so we want you to take that and help all of it. So it's pretty cool to see. So they're on the right track there. For me, I know I read the rules and I read everything, but actually going through it in the process of just, watching the videos and reading it and having it read to me, it made it where I understood it way better, And so I think it's really cool to see that. Yes, of course, we say, oh, if you're a good coach, you know that rule book, but it still makes it easier and just kind of get in your head a little bit better, right? When you're watching it and it's presented to you instead of just you going out and doing it your own.
Yeah, I like that. AAU, from what I understand, had like 100 competitors show up at AKA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We got an AAU near us as well that we want to try to tap into. Do you think the goal, this is the conversation. Is it Kappa, right? Is that the?
Yes. Yeah. Kappa is the coaches group. Yes.
Union, right?
Yeah. Union,
So a lot of the conversation is how do we unify, at least consistent rules and training and things like that across the board. And so I guess what's your goal, end game, motivation to jump into these AAU tournaments? Is it to push your Korean competition personally, or is there maybe a way to mesh?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of it. With me, I kind of feel right now me competing has pushed things that I wanted and helped with the sport. Like I don't know, unfortunately, if anyone else would be pushing for a Korean challenge in NASCA unless I was out there doing it. I'm not saying there aren't other Korean schools and stuff, but I've just kind of made a statement, and we've done that here, on the show, and made that a big thing. So that's one thing. There are other ones doing it, but just not as loud, maybe. So there's that. Also, though, for me, it's trying something different for me personally, but also for my students. My school is at a point right now where everyone's at a kind of a different area. Some excel at some things, some excel at other things. Some are just getting started to tournaments. They need local stuff. Some need to go to do NASCA. Some need to do something like this that is just different and try, out of their comfort zone. So we're experimenting with it and seeing what's going on. Whoa, that was crazy.
Speaking of experiencing, fellas, I feel really bad that I know I'm in like the Blair Witch Project, but listen, you can't make this up. The power just went in my neighborhood.
Oh my God.
So.
All right. So.
Yeah, power went out in the whole neighborhood. Everything.
It's a pitch
here. Literally, I'm hot spotting from my LMDs. So
this is gonna
I'm going to have to jump off until we figure out what the heck is going on. And I'm going to jump back
I
in a little bit.
I understand. Okay, no problem. We will keep it going. Don't worry.
All right. Thanks, guys.
But yeah.
Tell good stories.
Tell good stories. Hey, this works out that we can't have two guys who like to talk a lot. So
I know, right?
I'll get some time to shine here.
But yeah, so for me, it's a little bit of all of that, and getting to talk to those people, and just see how it works, what a real, professional organization looks like, and how can we put that, and adopt some things,
I'm certainly interested in learning more.
Yeah, and we're gonna have Bobby Jones. He's the president of AAU Taekwondo. He's going to be on our show next month and discuss things as well. And that's part of it as well with the Martial Arts Center Network. We want to get out to other events, other styles, other things. We had Singal on earlier in the year, and they're going to do in Texas this year is the Wushu World Championships. So it's the first time since 1995 that it's been America. So that's something that we're looking into to go and see, because that's just a whole different thing that we've never really been, a part of to experiment. Yeah. So, and even just as a fan, like I would just love to see what that's like,
Right.
So,
cool.
So, I mean, I think there's things like that. The more you experience stuff, then you can really, then for me, it's like, all right, do I take all this stuff, and then do we go back and take that leap and bring back Grand Slam one day? Who knows, right? But we'll see, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. That you guys have probably had this conversation 1,000 times on this show, but we know what the elite circuit is, for sport karate right now, right? Yeah. and there's reasons why it's great, and then there's reasons why people have complaints, and then everybody goes back and like, oh, we should just start our own thing. We should start our own thing. And some people are doing it and they're doing really good things, but I don't know if that helps. Where's the balance of growing the sport, unifying the sport, but also the effort from the league to really step up and listen and make some of those changes. And I think there's definitely efforts coming from some promoters. There's a lot of noise through the coaches now and through the competitors. So I'm fairly optimistic that this year more ears are listening, more eyes are open, and maybe we could see some really positive changes. Some of the things that you and I probably think like, dude, if you just did this, it would improve.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy thing.
Tough.
It is because there's so many people I feel like that are doing great things regionally, and now it's like they're in that kind of phase of like, okay, do we cross over and try to expand, or do we just stay with what we're doing and make it better, right? So I don't know how, where we go with that. I mean, that's a tough part, with them, or what they want to do, or do they work with NASCA or other, or another world league maybe to do something, right?
It's super tough. So let's say we'll just take the WSKL, right? Our Wisconsin Sport Karate League. We have 6 tournaments this year for the first time. We brought one back that was gone since COVID, and we've added another one this year. So 6 tournaments. And if, 250 competitors is a success. We're expecting minimum 300 at each. And then Infinity National Championships, I'll bet we break 500. That's huge for us, right? And so if we want the vision then is to have 6 solid tournaments plus our banquet and award ceremony, and making those 6 solid tournaments all break in 350 competitors. If we could get to that point, that's the vision. Another level vision of that is like, are you regional, and are you working with other regions, or are you national? So then you have to make that as a business owner. What's the benefit? What are the pros and cons? Because taking those steps of growth, you got to make sure that your team and all their stuff is together. And then the people that you're teaming up with, you got to be able, it's got to be cohesive. You've got to share the same vision. Not everybody works well together, and I think that's part of the problem. We'll just say it out loud. I think that's part of the problem with NASCA is there's a lot of really good promoters, but I don't know if they are all on the same page. You know what I mean? Do they all have the same vision and want the same things for the same reasons? So growth for a league, that really has to be considered. We've seen ProMac grow really big. What's the next level for them? I see really, I love what Jeremy does down in Florida, the USA Sport Karate League. I really want to learn more about that. Of course, Richard Osborne, he's a pioneer, and he loves the sport as much as anybody. So there's some good people out there that want to do good things. I don't know what the next level is, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just laughing at Alex right now. Yeah, we can hear you, Alex. Oh, man. He got the light flashing on his face. I love it. Man. Oh, man. Blair Witch is back.
So
I like it.
I tried popping in. I think the hot spot, I'm trying, fellas. Literally, the ice storm is so bad, I think I got to cut it.
Yeah.
And just let
you know what?
run it without me.
We went and bought a generator in case the power goes out.
I was super stoked about this.
That's crazy. Oh, man. All right, Alex. I'll catch you later, man.
Those generators are 85,000 pounds.
Yeah.
They're not light, yeah.
No, they're not. No.
But if the power goes out and you have a generator, you got power.
Love you, fellas. I'm going to chime in through the chat.
All right.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think I agree. I was just down in Florida 2 weeks ago and was talking to Jeremy, and he's kind of in that same thing, kind of like what I was talking about. All right, do I want to expand? Do I want to just keep doing what we're doing? The more that you do great things down there, of course, what happens is other people want to do the same thing, right? So they're back to kind of about 3 different leagues down there now. So, who knows what's going to happen with that. But I know the way that he sets it up, the professionalism, how that they run things and they work together as a group to where
Yeah.
everyone is a part of every event, like it's a real
They've got a killer team. They've got a
Yep.
really good team, and that leads to success.
Correct. Yeah. So I think they're doing awesome stuff. ProMax doing great things. You guys up there, WSKL, are doing great things. So, it's just we're in a weird like a great time, really, when you really think about it, because the opportunities are endless, right? And I think NASCA is looking at, they've been talking for years, wanting to get more regional and getting more, back to having those regions like they used to have. But again, it's working together and picking the right people, right?
Yeah, and you gotta have a plan. You gotta
Yep.
spell it out. It's got to be clear. It's got to be well thought out. It's got to be edited, peer reviewed, and then implemented. Yeah, you can't just hey, we started a region down here all of a sudden, and what does that do? Because there's
Exactly.
still NASCA 1As and 2As and 3As, but I'm not quite sure what purpose they serve.
Yeah. And Joey's saying like Memphis right now is the spot, like he found a good spot to grow. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that's kind of what you guys, same thing. You guys found a good place to continue to grow, that's a big deal with the tournament. I think that's the hard part with having an event, and really, again, with that topic, taking that leap as far as just starting a tournament of your own, like, everybody can just go and say, all right, well, we got a school down here, we'll do it. And that's great to do a 1 year thing or 2 year thing, or just if you're happy, just staying with keeping it local. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's your plan and you feel like you can find a way to just make that grow from there and you enjoy it and it's doing well for your school and your local league or whatever you're a part of, your martial arts in your area. And that's great. If you want to expand, you got to have a 5-year plan for a tournament easily. That's just the minimum. Really, it should probably be a 10-year at that. But like, not have it base everything, but just a plan and then, little goal, because things change in 5 years, 10 years, like that, but I think having a venue like what they said, Memphis, in an area, the place that Joey and them have it at, there's so much space and there's so much for him to do. Just like you guys with the Kalahari, there's so many, there's other ballrooms and other things for you guys to expand,
Yeah.
So when I moved to the Richmond area, I had plenty of space at the venue I was at. I was able to do that, My issue there was hotels. That was the hardest part. And the 5-year plan was that they had told me they were going to build hotels on that property, right? So that was something I was like, okay, so within the next 2 years that will be set up, and that never happened. So there's things like
we're in that spot right now where all of our well, so here's another thing then here's where we are. We're bursting at the seams in all of our venues, and we run 7 rings, and now we know we got to get a minimum of 8. We'd like to do 9 with a stage in each one, and then maybe get higher and higher and higher, 10 to 12.
Right.
So, but then now you have to staff that. You have to have the judges for that, and isn't that always that's the make or break of every tournament? If you don't have enough judges, you're in bad shape. You're just going to have a bad event, and then if your judges suck, it puts a bad taste in people's mouths.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's good martial artists out there that are just terrible judges.
Yeah.
And without any kind of oversight and accountability, it hurts.
Exactly. And one of the things that I was so I kind of had that like clarity when I was doing that test. I was like, okay, if this test is this in depth and focus for coaches, like it makes me feel really good about the judging, because I know that for them to go through this for the coaches, they're going to do even more for the judging. Right. And so I feel like that's where we always lose that. Right.
Yeah.
There's benefits to, actually, I think there needs to be both. Joey and I talked about this today as well, was you need to have online tests and things, but you also need to have that person to person element as well. And I think it needs to be a double standard, not just, well, I did the online test, so I'm good, I don't have to do anymore. No, you continue to grow, you continue to do it. You know, we're being dumb if we think that the NFL officials or the other officials of any sport, only do one class and they're good, and then the rest is just, no, they continue to grow and do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that should be, especially in a sport like ours, a yearly thing is acceptable, I think.
So, yeah, I agree 100%. And now if we can get, so if we can get a few of the smaller regional leagues that are trying to make things happen, have the same rule set, then we can have the same similar judges trainings, videos we can share with it, even if we're not synced at all. Like, if there's a South, let's say we teamed up with USA Sport Karate League.
Yeah.
No points have to mesh over back and forth. We don't have to send judges. We don't have to depend on each other for anything other than the fact that we have the same set of rules, what's working for how we're training judges, what rules are working, what aren't working, what's on the test, what can we kind of just, when you look at soccer, how many different little league and minor league soccer leagues are there out there? There's 1,000 of them.
1,000.
But there's still, it's the same positions in the same spot. It's the same fouls. There's one way, to score a goal. It doesn't change from soccer field to soccer field.
Nope.
So from tournament to tournament,
that's always been our biggest thing. Yep. That's always been the toughest, and it was a big deal of me when I had my tournament and I was helping with the NBL. It was to get the SKI rules everywhere in Virginia to where all the tournaments were using those rules. And we had it like that for a while. And then some still kind of went back to their old, because we have like next weekend, I have students that are going their very first tournament, and the rules for fighting are first to 5 and no time limit, like you don't get that really anywhere else. So it's hard to like trying to explain that, well, every tournament's a little different. That's weird. Like, wait a minute, what? That's a weird thing to say. So that's, I think, been our
it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good. But I always just say it's inherent in what we do. It's martial arts. We're split at the seams. There are 100,000 different styles. You know what I mean? And different versions of those styles. So, yeah.
But if you're going to run an open tournament and call it sport karate or open martial arts tournament, that's where it's got to get unified. If you're going to do a karate only thing or a taekwondo or a kempo or whatever it is you want to do, or it's an inter-school, whatever that is. But as we have some major players that used to be good competitors that love the sport, that have leagues that are involved with NASCA, let's face it, the top leagues that we're talking about are all some way, shape, or form involved in NASCA because that's the premier sport karate league. So that's the place I think to get unified. And I think there's enough people out there talking about it that, again, I'm optimistic this year. If nothing else, the conversation gets better and better that we'll see, this time in 3, 4, 5 years, we are, we look like a whole different sport, a different professionalism.
Yeah, I really think so. And I think that COVID time actually helped some people, kind of some take a break that probably needed a break, like you're looking at Quebec Open that's been gone for 3 years, and they're finally back and they're excited, so it's really, really interesting spot that we are in with our sport. One of the things too, for me is like this week, I've been celebrating my 15 years of having Grand Slam martial arts. So kind of cool. Lots of reflection, man. It's kind of crazy, right? And I know you're in there as well with having your school. When did you start yours?
2007. So April will be our Sweet 16. Yeah, we were just before you then.
Yeah, that's awesome. I thought we were around the same time. So that's pretty cool, man. So, like Alex and I were talking about discussing that, making that time. We're like, well, let's bring Mike because he would have we can just kind of go back and forth on things and stories of getting started. Because I think some people just need to hear that, right? It's not going to be easy. It's not something that everyone tells you, it probably wasn't the thing that you thought about when you were a kid that you were going to grow up and have a karate school. I mean, it's just, some maybe.
For me, it was.
For you, it was? Yeah.
Yeah, man. When I remember when I was a white belt, I took my first class. I remember so much about my first class. And then probably at my gold belt test, I was like, I'm going to be a karate instructor someday. I'm going to teach.
Yeah.
And when I was like a red belt, I was assisting. So by the time I was like 14 years old, before I was even in high school, I knew I was going to own a karate school
Right.
someday.
That's
I didn't
awesome.
know what that picture actually
Right.
looked like,
Exactly.
but that's what I was going to do.
Yeah. 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 For me, I started teaching like karate in a room that used to be my room. Then we moved rooms. So I had a karate room, and I was just doing private lessons at age 11 till I moved out
Yeah.
and, till college. And, that was just the thing that I was just, doing that, being at the school, this and that, but for me, it was a rare thing because, I was really just training in my home for 10 years. Without a school. So for like from I guess age 14 to 24. So when you guys really saw me on the circuit at that, I was just training outside or training in my school or going to the gym at my church and training on my own and then teaching on my, so it was a rare thing. So it was weird for me to get started. Was a lot of learning, a big learning curve because I hadn't taught big classes in a long time, unless I did seminars, right? So that whole process was different. I wasn't just, well, I'm doing good here as an assistant. I can do and start my own thing. So it was a big leap for me to do that. Also in a small town, like really small town, everyone's kind of like, yeah, that's not going to work. It's not going to work, and you can't do that. You can't charge this. You can't do that. And, honestly, I've just learned that whenever people tell you can't do something, just do the complete opposite, and it usually works. So,
Well, they say that just because they don't know. They don't have a clue. You can't
No.
do that. Come on.
Right. Well, and the same thing is like, okay, well, you also said that that's weird that you would, be from a small town like Rustford, be a champion to travel here, to travel there. Well, I did those things. So why can't I do the same thing here? So, and I think us as competitors, we got to use that competitive mindset we have in business,
Mhm.
right? And we've had this talk
Yeah.
as well, personally. And, sometimes we keep it just in that competition world, and we have to learn how to flip it and turn it into that business world as well. But how do you
Yeah.
maybe do that?
So I love that you said that because I am competitive. I'm super competitive. And so, as a competitor, I always thought that someday I would just be a better coach than a competitor. And what I meant by that was actually even just teaching karate classes. Like I just wanted the best for my students, and not always who had the best sidekick or could win at a tournament, but the best classes. Like I took pride in that. We're a martial artist, and so as an artist, when I create a demo, that's a canvas, man.
Yeah.
That's a certain painting. Call it a watercolor.
Yeah.
That's a paint I'm doing over here. When I teach a class, that's a different kind. Call that like I don't know anything about art, but oil painting or something. Right?
Yeah.
So it's two different styles, but that's a canvas, and I'm trying to create a masterpiece every single time.
Correct.
And so that motivated me. You know what I mean? I didn't ever want to suck, and it wasn't always. It took me a while when I first opened up. I came from a different school, and we had butted heads, and it wasn't a great separation, but that was my cue. Well, now's the time, right?
Right.
I don't need to work for anybody. I had a pretty good martial arts education, the physical side and the business side. I got to see some good things and see some really, really bad things, what not to do.
Yeah.
So when I had that time to do it, it was just the obvious. The time is now.
Correct.
And so in the beginning, maybe you did this, and maybe there's school owners out there and instructors.
Right.
I'd drive by the competitors' karate school and try to see what's in their window and drive around, or I'm always trying to listen, and people would talk like, "Oh, did you hear what they're doing down the street?" And I'd get so like engulfed in that. And it was just such a waste. It was actually poisonous, And I thought to me, that's what's being competitive. I got to be better than them. And at some point it clicked. Like it doesn't matter what they do. Right. If they have 500 karate students, I can have 500 karate students. If they have 10 karate students, I can have 500 karate students. I don't have 500.
Right.
And so then it was just setting goals and being competitive for myself.
Correct.
every time I hit a milestone, it's like, okay, I can do this much. Bet I can do a little more. Bet I can do a little more. Just like in the tournaments, guys are, they spin a bow staff, you can do one spin. Bet I can do two. Bet I can do four, right? So that's where the competition like took me. I did not want to fail. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be my best. Still do.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and for me, it was the same thing. And sometimes I kind of had that little bit chip on the shoulder. All right, we're gonna prove wrong, and I just had to get over that too, and just realize that doesn't matter. I think that helps sometimes to get started. But once you ready to grow and to just be successful and be happy doing what you're doing, and not just so worn out that worn out trying to prove everyone wrong. You just gotta realize you just take it the same way. It's really martial arts. It's just growth. It's the horizon, right? It's just continual growth, and that look for it. And that doesn't have to look a certain way because this karate school does it like this, so I have to be like this. Or they have 200 students, I want 200 students. Like whatever you want, whatever your plan is, stick with it and focus on that. You don't.
Well, in reality, that mindset is so old school and traditional.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my business partner today. We were working out, and he said his dad used to work represent one of the original Madison, Wisconsin instructors, straight from Korea. And back in the 90s, and he would complain. He's like, nobody has any loyalty. Everybody, everybody's going off and think they could do their own thing, and there's nothing coming back to me. And it's like, well, that's tradition. If you didn't treat people well to give them a reason to stay, but also then you get jealous and you get bitter. But in the reality is, a rising tide raises all ships.
All ships.
So exactly. in my first school, the flagship in Middleton, I could look out my back window and I could see my competitor's sign. Just they're literally right around the block, kitty corner. But he and I have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I think if his school does better, my school is going to do better.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Because we just raise the awareness. You hear about hockey towns. Oh, this town's a hockey town.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody does hockey, and there's hockey opportunities everywhere. This town's a soccer team, whatever. Let's make it a karate town. This town is a martial arts town. So I think modern martial arts schools are getting more and more keen on that. The successful ones understand that. They're not so worried about the guy down the street. In fact, it's better if we can know each other's names, be cordial, shake hands. Exactly. Set an example for our students.
Right. I mean, I've seen a lot of growth and just better over the past 2 or 3 years since I've even, myself, I teach one of the instructors of the school, which is like 15 minutes down the road from me. And he teaches me different stuff. We work both, we work on one style and then I work on another with him. So we go back and forth and do that and show up at each other's belt tests to make it even more like a big deal, as it's like, hey, this isn't just in-house. Like other people are here to be a part of your exam, and your test. And it makes it really just makes it look really good. It's like, all right, this is a unified thing. Right. And it just makes it more legit really to your customers, but also in general it does, because we're supposed to be about growth. So.
I love bringing people in from the outside, especially black belt tests and things like that. If all you ever do is stay within your four walls, you're just inbreeding.
Exactly.
If you never see what else is out there, the quality just turns worse and worse and worse. And I mean, I have that critique for karate schools. There's so many karate schools in our area, but so many that do not send competitors anywhere.
Yeah.
Part of it's maybe because that instructor never had the culture of competition or whatever. And I think sometimes, are you familiar with the ugly baby syndrome?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to admit if they have an ugly baby.
Yeah.
And so if you have bad karate classes and bad students, that's an ugly baby. You don't want to admit it.
Right.
Well, if you never send your babies out there for people to look at it, then then you could say you've got a great cute baby,
Exactly. Well, and that's why some people never went to having like a mentor or someone to ask for advice, because they don't want them to be like, here's the worst question ever. What are your numbers? Like, oh crap, I gotta tell them I didn't do good this week, and you just gotta suck it up and just say, hey, I messed up. It's okay, or hey, I'm not doing well, or guess what? I'm doing awesome, Are you really? I mean, it's one of those things, and it's just that realness that you got to have that talk to. I had this talk with someone today. It was just like, listen, I'm just being honest with how I feel about certain things. That's it, and I'm telling you exactly what I told everyone else, and vice versa. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You said two things that really resonate, and I think if you are a martial arts school owner or any small business owner, I think you need these two things, and it's one of the keys to my success, and it's something that everybody on our team we can't engrave it enough. But your numbers, you've got to know your numbers to grow your numbers, and it's amazing how I think the biggest reason is some people don't know why the numbers are so important, and then they don't use the numbers to like really gauge what their karate school is. So many people in the martial arts industry, it's how many karate students do you have, and that's all that's based on their success.
Right.
And even then, they don't even know how many numbers they have, or
Right.
they inflate the numbers to make it look good. But
right.
it's a vanity number. It doesn't.
Right.
It's not that it doesn't matter, but you could say 500 students, and 25 of them actually pay tuition.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that doesn't make a difference. And so this is why, taking a step back, the other thing you said is you need a coach.
Yep.
You need mentorship. You need continual learning. You got to read books. You got to listen to podcasts. You got to network, and you need somebody to hold you accountable.
Yep.
For me, when I opened up, dude, we were the same age. I was 25 when I opened up my karate school. 25, dropped out of college, single. I was a party animal. I was good at it. I was good at competing. I was good at teaching, and I was good at social life, right? And I was doing all three things. And I could burn both ends of the candle because I was young. You know what I mean? But I saw some growth because I was doing some things right, but I quickly got overwhelmed and maybe a little scattered, and identified like, man, I know the martial arts business really well, but I need somebody to help me with business. And I found a business coach just in town. And then that's evolved. And now I work with, I'm going to send a shout out, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
To the Relentless CEO group. So Adam Kiefer, man, you and I talked about him.
Yes.
His group is amazing.
Yeah.
And the team of mentors that he has, and the team of peers that I've gotten is unbelievable. So
and they just added Jotty Tension on there this week. It looks like.
Jotty's doing some work. And Jotty's amazing too. And so they all have some specialties to bring. But for me, like, I never wanted to talk to people about karate. Like, somebody said, "Oh, you do karate? I do karate. What style? What this?" I was like, "Oh, I don't want to." I cringed when I had to talk about it because I didn't think we think the same.
Right.
Now this peer group, we think the same, and you don't have to lie about anything. Like, I suck at this. I need help with this. I'm really good at that. How can I help you with that?
Right.
So
that's awesome.
Again, as a martial artist or a small business owner, get a coach, get some mentorship, and know your numbers, man. Know them.
Right. And again, that we've talked about that with school. If we even want to go into a sport karate aspect of it, really, if you want to get to that next level, you need a coach. You need someone who's actually, again, it's still the same thing. Know your numbers. So how do you do against this person? Where are you at? What are your rankings, right? How have you done these past years? All those things matter. And if you know them, the better you're going to get, right? Especially if you're trying to be that top person, right? As we're moving up, that's one thing. And you and I have talked about this too. You used to not agree with me, but I think you do now on the scoring, right?
Yes.
And that was something that on the scoring, I always was kind of like, man, we're really like cheating our beginner belts and our under belts, because if we give them a score and then they see that score move up, because we're judging them, not comparing them, it really is a good way for them to move up in the sport instead of just like, oh, I got 9.5s again. Or I got 9.3s again, like I got a 4, like, but it's like, doesn't really change anything. You know what I mean? But if we give them a score that's like something that's based on them, then they can work on that. And that being something that kind of carries them, at least in that beginning phase,
Yeah, I agree. That's a really hard one to nail down how to do that. And I do want to go that route.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like we're circling back just a little bit to karate and tournaments again, which I like.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Richard Osborne because I asked you, I got the idea from Joey Perry. He was the first one who said it. And I hope I'm not opening up, like giving anything away, but to have a creative challenge. And I'm like, that's an awesome idea. Like, This is the place to then experiment with. This is the criteria that's you're going to be graded on. So you have to have some elements in your forms, stay within these parameters. Each judge gets out their phone. It's already set up to Mat Action or Uventex or whatever. Each judge gives 3 scores. You got 3 judges. There's a speed and power score, execution score, different, whatever. Right. Those are the things that it's hard. Like, what are the criterias that we're judging on? That's a hard one to get. But if anybody's listening, I'm sure somebody's listening. For anybody who's listening, I'm open to feedback because I want to launch something at INC, Fitting National Championships, one of these years, just to play it out and get that moving. But
I agree.
I think one thing that NASCA should do, not has to do, and maybe a lot of the bigger tournaments is if we're going to stick with relative scoring for the short term because there's not a better option, we've got to cut the divisions down.
Yeah.
No competitor and no judge, even the best judges, dude. If I have 24 kids in a division, you don't get a fair score.
No.
Like, it's so hard to do these tally marks in a couple of.
It gets all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's not fair. It's not fair. I don't think it's fair to me as a judge because I want to do a good job, and not just me. I'm not being selfish about it, but for anybody, I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. But for the competitors too. So split it, shorten it up. 10 would be ideal. You got 0 through 9. Not one score is duplicated. 0 through 9, right?
Right.
But at least 15 max. Max at 15. So I think that's an easy fix.
Yeah.
Until we get to.
They had to start splitting divisions. I know last year and this year, I guess NASCA has a rule now in place for that.
Yeah, but it's at 24. It's
over 24. So it's still it's way too much. So, you guys saying you guys split at 10. Brett, you were talking about, Bill Viola tried that with contemporary forms and at Kumite. Yes, I remember. That was part of something that they were doing at part of the NBL thing that we were trying to do years ago. And then we kind of flipped it years later and brought that back with the sheet and the 4 criteria and everything, which in theory is a great idea. It's just timing wise, right? When's the best time to bring that out? How do we train people to do it the right way? Right.
Again, I think by doing a challenge division,
right?
Because it doesn't affect any league. It doesn't affect any points or any rankings.
Exactly.
It can very easily be an experiment, but it can be a ton of fun. And then you can change at a fast pace. If you want to do it again at another tournament or at your same tournament a year later, you can make as many changes as you want, right? As long as you get the information out ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the benefit to having a challenge division. That's why I think doing a Korean challenge, I know some people are talking about, whoa, Korean should just boom.
Yeah.
Well, NASCA traditional forms, the Japanese style, isn't the way it is now. It wouldn't be the way that it is now. It's authentic and high quality, I think, if there wasn't the traditional challenge first.
Correct.
To kind of build a culture, feel it out, see what's there. So there's a kudos to NASCA, of course. I always feel like complaints. I don't mean to slam them because it is the elite premier league,
right? And we all know that, and that's why we all compete in it, and we take people there that we feel like can compete in it, and we want them to aspire to those things. You know what I mean? Those wins. Yeah. So because
Yeah.
they're prestigious, right?
Yeah.
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 So
And there's history there, and there's
yeah,
great people that promote, great people that are involved. But
correct.
it's, I think the complaint is just, it has to catch up with the times.
Yeah,
There's room for improvement. So,
right.
anyways, back with the challenge divisions, I think that's the way
Yeah,
to go. So,
Drew has a good
Brett,
one with the 5 judges doing each one doing a different criteria. That's another option as well with something like that.
what's the pros and cons? Each judge gives 3, or 5 judges give one different one. Pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the only thing is that you can train judges specifically to be good at that one thing, right? So that's maybe the pros to that. Similar to, do you remember? Were you at the Battle of Atlanta that year when Carmichael did the June Reed Challenge, where he took like the top 8 forms of weapons competitors, and he had 7 judges, and each judge scored on something different on the 7 aspects of June Reed Taekwondo.
Yeah, I don't think I was paying close enough attention, but I do
Yeah,
recall.
but that was kind of how they did that, right? So like John Sue was there to be the I think he was the flexibility judge or something like that, right? And Ashley Lane was the balance judge, and then there was Hakeem Austin was actually the something like the intensity or the entertainment judge. So there are different ones like that, Marcel Jones was the cleanness, the crispness
Yeah.
or whatever. So there's different ones with that. I think that idea is cool. Doing that in a grand scheme of things, like multiplying that is where it can get a little tough without proper like protocols and things in place, right?
If you have 10 rings at a tournament, then you need to have 10 judges that are specialized in that one thing.
Right.
Which can be done. I
Yeah.
don't know if it has to be that specialized, but it's definitely an option.
Right.
I do like the idea, like specializing some judges in some senses. Like this judge, yes, put them in traditional forms. Do not put them in sparring. Right? Some
Yeah,
judges can judge
exactly.
forms and weapons. Some judges can judge sparring. Some judges can do it all. Joey Perry can do it all at the highest level, right?
Right.
But then there's, we had a fighter come to INC once. I won't say his name, and he was willing to help out, but we asked him to judge forms, and he's like, slouching and just so pissed off. Like you could tell he didn't want to be there. So lesson learned, like making sure that opportunity for improvement. But yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I'm the same way. I've done that as well. Learn from that, and you're like, okay, all right. Overall, it's better not just to put someone there because you have a body, right? Or that they're still capable, but are they willing, right? Because that's the thing. Like they're capable to be a great judge, but are they willing to, and are they going to put their best foot forward?
Right.
And even maybe they were trying their best, but it didn't look like it. So guess who's pissed off? The parents, right? And then
I mean, you can try your best, but if you're not good enough, it's just
right.
That's it, right? So same thing with business, right? Some people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs.
No.
There are great martial artists and great instructors, but man, don't run a business,
Right.
If you can't run yourself, if you can't have discipline for yourself, like if your car's a mess, how are you going to keep your karate school clean? If you're behind on your rent payment for your apartment, you're going to pay the rent on time for your business, So
exactly.
Small things like that, like those habits have to be made, and maybe those people can change, but not without a coach.
Yeah. Got to have a coach. Got to have that. Got to have that other eye, right, to look at you, because a lot of times
you also have to have a drive, man.
Yeah. Oh man, you're right. It's got to be something that, I mean, you're thinking about all the time. I mean, really. I mean, for me, it's like that. It's like I get up. I'm like, all right, what are we gonna do? What's this? What's that? Like it's got to be exciting for you. Not where you're stressed. But you
got to know your why. Why did you open up a business? Why do you own? I'm actually asking you. Why do you own your own school? Right?
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
Yeah. For me, it was giving back to my community. You know what I mean? And really I felt it was my calling. Like I just took like I remember like just quitting my job and then just being like, all right, I'm going to find a place, and really I probably should have done it the other way and find a place and waited and then kept going. But I was just focused on doing what I needed to do because that's what I wanted to do. I told myself, I went to college and I was like, all right, karate will be my fallback, or I'll be successful at this thing. And then that way I can just have a karate school in the part-time. I don't know why. I just kind of, it was one of those things. It wasn't like I knew I wanted to do it, but I let the other things around me kind of control me. And at that point, when I said, all right, I'm not listening to anyone else right now. This is what's happening. I'm going for it. And I love this. For me, this is my way to give back to people and to help my I say my community, but really the children, you know what I mean? Like I need to help these people like become better adults, right? Become
So
better
let me
people.
ask you a question. Why couldn't you just do that as a karate instructor and work for somebody else and do that?
That's true. That's true. And I could, but at that point, that wasn't the time, And for me at that point, it was not I wanted to do it my way, but I wanted to be a leader that created leaders,
Sure.
So that was that for me, why,
Yeah.
for there. Now, again, I think the why changes throughout, like still that base is there, but 15 years, if it's still the same thing, then, you're kind of stuck, right? So you continue to change, now it's like creating something for my family and creating something
Yes.
for, my children and creating
Yes.
something that my black belts can take, a legacy that they can expand on and do,
Yes. I asked that question because I have a great team. Like, look, the reality is I get to be the face of WSKL and I get to be the face of Infinity Martial Arts. And, I pull my weight and I've done some things, but I would never, ever have the success that I have if it wasn't for the teams that I have on both sides of this. So I got some young guys that are amazing martial artists that have decided they want to make martial arts their career.
Right.
And they go back and forth with ownership, right? They say, I want to be an owner. Yeah. Why?
Right.
Why do you want to be an owner? And why now and why not later? So really trying to dig for that answer. If anybody's going to take that leap of faith, you've got to have it. Why? It's got to grind to your bones because when you wake up, that's what's going to make you wake up and do a better job. Or if you just want to wear a badge that says I'm owner, then you're not going to wake up, right? And you're going to show up and you're just going to coast and you're going to say, oh yeah, things are good, and good isn't measurable. Oh yeah, I got this many students, but you don't know your numbers, right? So taking the badge off and then really understanding how are you going to walk the walk. So but that's why I asked that question. I challenge my younger guys all the time, and I want them all to be owners. I want them to be successful, but it's got to be the right fit and the right timing as well. Right. Some people, do you know the difference between rock stars and superstars?
Oh, all right. Tell me. I want to hear it.
Okay. So your superstars are the outliers. Your superstars are you and me, right? Yeah. We're not going to be somebody's employee. We have vision. We move at a fast pace. We're going to make things happen. Okay. Yeah. We're the superstars that my instructor wasn't going to keep me without giving me some sort of vision, and it better be big because that's where I'm going.
Right.
But you need rock stars. Your rock stars are the guys that, they are so good. They could do it on their own.
Yeah.
They could do it on their own. But you know what? They don't want to.
Right.
They want to be as a leader, but just be the right hand. They don't want to carry all this weight. They don't want to take that level. They're really good. They have a vision on how they can help you, the superstar. So you're rock stars. So as a business owner, I have to be the superstar in a sense. And I need my rock stars. I need a rock star manager, program director. I need rock star instructors. And some of my rock stars will turn into superstars. But, man, it's those rock stars that are going to lead me 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Exactly.
And those guys can be successful if you know your why, right?
Right.
So if your why is, well, I want to make money, well, what if you can make $70,000 a year just being a head instructor? You
Yeah.
don't have to take the risk of
Right.
signing leases, losing money, starting
Yeah.
over, whatever it
Right.
is, going through COVID, right?
Yeah.
As a business owner going through
Right.
COVID. So really knowing the why can help drive, and then maybe identify, are you a superstar or a rock star? And that can change too.
Yeah.
That can change. But for the most part, the outliers are the superstars, and the rock stars might jump up. I think it's rare that somebody jumps down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you said, like really those superstars enjoy the process, right? They enjoy that process of the struggles and the challenge of, okay, what's next? Where do I go to now? What can we do here? How do we take this school that's all right, was really good, and then we had a rough year because of COVID, or because of, hey, I hired just the wrong person, right? Or something happened here, and how do we flip that? It's that like we talked about, really that competitiveness, that challenges you and pushes you. And we applied in different ways, right?
Man, the rock stars though, they might make a bigger impact
Yes.
on the company than the superstar does, than the owner, than the CEO, whatever you want to call it.
You're right.
I've recently, so we have 9 schools, and we've started kind of change the way we think about some things. We started hiring some managers, and they are freaking super rock stars, right?
Yeah.
So we give them the freedom to let us know, like, where am I weak? Tell me what I suck at. I probably already know. But then they come up with like the ideas, like, here's how we can fix this, and implement it and make it great. They're not complaining, this sucks, and what am I supposed to do? They come in like, look, this is great. I love the vision. This is lacking. You're not going to get there. Here's how I can help.
Yeah.
And sometimes, so they could call me out on my BS. And then sometimes it's like, no, we're going to do it this way. And so even when they disagree, they're still on the same team. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to do it your way, and I'm going to give it my best. And there's a rock star. And so as a business owner, as a school owner, if you have people that aren't doing those things, go find somebody that is, right?
Yep.
I was just on the phone with a school owner from Florida, and he had to fire his head instructor, who's been with him for 12 years. Charismatic guy, talented instructor, but just not fitting culture, always complaining, and to the point where kind of manifesting like, Mr. So-and-so, he never sits down with me. He never listens to me. When in reality, you just signed off on today's meeting, right? This is our one-on-one. We talked about all these things, right? So that guy never was really, he's on his own team.
Right. That's true.
So the right seats and the right butts in the right seats.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, this has been a great conversation, man. I know we can go on and on. We'll probably need to do a part 2 or part 17 of this in the future. Let's get into a fun topic before we finish up that's sport karate related. And we're going to go into this. Who are the best kama strikers of all time? All right. You're a bow guy, but you competed against kama competitors, especially in the 90s. And even 2000, it was a big thing. Kamas were king in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Who comes to who's like one of the first people that come to your mind?
On the count of 3, say your number 1, and I'll say my number 1.
Oh man,
ready?
See, I think it's gonna be different. 1.
You think so? 2. 1, 2, 3. Anthony Murata.
Oh, all right. See, I said Vince Johnson. You said Anthony Murata.
Oh, Vince.
Yeah.
And so they're the same time.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, same time. And yeah, Anthony definitely is up there, man. He was one of those ones that just so clean, man. Just so, but he had the full, like, it was the preciseness and the full cuts.
Yeah.
He didn't try to go too fast to where it was sped up. You know what I mean? Like,
but
I think
he was fast.
But he was fast. But he didn't cut
man.
corners to be fast.
Yes.
Which, like I tell a lot of my students, is like there's a difference in fast and rushing. When you're rushing, you're skipping steps. He never skipped steps. He was full on everything, but just did it faster. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dude,
So,
I love Anthony Marotti, kind of a sleeper. I
yeah,
think maybe a little underrated. Later in his career, he started winning. He got the Rolex
yeah,
at Bluegrass.
the
But
bluegrass.
Vince, I forgot all about Vince. He was so creative and
Yeah.
different.
Creative,
But in the
different,
90s,
and intense too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, that's what won. You know, you had
Yeah.
to have your own style. If you looked
Right.
like somebody else, the guy who did it better won.
Right. And he kind of, he was very underrated too. He really
Yeah.
got popular, but he didn't always win, And so when he started coming on, I guess really doing well was that 2006 to 2009 kind of phase, or maybe 2005 phase. And he just kind of said, you know what, everyone's doing finger rolls and flips and stuff, or starting it. I'm just going to go straight comma and see what happens, and it was cool to see. So I think for me, that's why it stood out, because it was when the releases were happening and, people doing, spinning it on their finger and stuff like that, so those two definitely ones that stand out. As far as I go old school, even though he has a traditional background, but like he always did a great open style comma was Kevin Thompson, which
I
is
knew you were going to say that.
yeah, was just great. Just the power and the intensity and the creativity he had with it.
He
We were
pioneered
talking.
for a lot of guys.
What'd you say?
I said he kind of pioneered it for a lot of guys.
Definitely. And then, I know Alex, he wanted to talk about Mike Chat being, one of the guys in, the really, he was like the second person that I saw with a signature comma. The first one was actually Chris Casamassa.
Yeah.
He had his signature comma. So, he really was one of the ones. And again, this is the stuff that happens before the show. We were talking about people not even figure eighting anymore, or doing just a regular or even a half one. He pioneered that, of how to, doing the opposite ones, right?
Yeah.
And doing that, which in some ways that it's different now, because now we see more finger rolls or releases,
Right.
but the figure eights and things lead to your strike, or even in some ways are a strike, right? So you can make it look like that. So
I had Mike on my list. I definitely had Mike Check on my list.
Yeah, Mike Chad definitely would be on that. For me,
Rudy.
Rudy, Rudy is the one. To me, he's probably my favorite comma competitor of all time. That's like overall, just because he had that flavor, he had clean, strong cuts, and he had the difficulty with the releases that were kind of coming up. And just his.
But he changed it up. It wasn't all
exactly.
just 7 counts.
No.
I think we see a lot of that, just 7 counts. Not as creative with the movement of striking and blocking and positioning as much anymore. I got to give a shout out to Jeff Sprico. I thought Jeff was super creative. Jeff didn't win, I think, as much as maybe he could have. But I got to train with him, and he always blew me away with his commas. And he was clean, and he was dynamic. He was creative. He changed different things the way he would move them. So I loved Jeff's commas.
Yeah, one more I had for me is another one that I grew up competing against and with was Daryl Lewis. Daryl Lewis to me had like some of the strongest cuts, and when he spun and did like a chop punch, like you felt it, you know what I mean? And it was just like, whoa, like, and people were kind of like when we were because Butch Marks and I were doing NBL and NASCA, and we were telling everyone about Daryl and everything, and people were like, oh, he gets really high on his backflip. And like, that's the thing. It's like, no, look at his hands. Look how freaking strong they are and fast they are. I mean, look at his comma and how the snaps are and everything. Yeah. And it was just really cool to see him, and he can still do it,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and I know for me, something that I like seeing is people turning it upside down, doing more upside down strikes, different things there.
Kim did commas, right?
He did commas. Yeah, he did. Not that often. He was more of a forms guy, but he did do commas. Yeah.
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 I don't know if I call him one of the best strikers of all time, but he would turn him upside down.
He would turn him upside down. Yep, exactly. And it was kind of a thing that you saw more in that mid 90s, like even like Ebony Adams, she used to turn him upside down. Jennifer Santiago used to turn him upside down.
Yeah.
Jimmy Pham, would, he would turn him upside down. And, that style for me, like Jimmy is like Rudy to me is like a combination of John Valera and Jimmy, you know what I mean? Like, because of the speed and everything, the Christmas, but the swagger and the flow of Jimmy, he kind of like put them together, you know?
Yeah. John Valera was one of my all-time favorites. I mean, he's the guy that inspired me to want to do more karate and sport karate and be on stage at Diamond Nationals. But I wouldn't put him in one of the best kama strikers of all time.
Yeah, I think he would. Again, I was gonna say I have him like two parts, like two eras, right? When he started going super fast, he was kind of rushing sometimes to be super fast. But before that, when he was a junior competitor, his kama strikes were super clean and everything. And so it's just different. Like there, I would be like, all right, yeah, that was. But then when he kind of took to that next level, it was a little different, right? Mark Canizzato is a good one.
Mark.
Yep. Drew. Yep. Mark was a great one.
Did Stephanie Flowers do kama?
She did kamas as well. She's still more of a forms, person. It's the same thing, I'm trying to think of a couple of
I know what you're saying. You put kamas in your hands and you're just doing your form.
Yeah. And that's that, I think there's some that know how to do it and then make it different, and so
So is there anybody modern day? Is there anybody modern day right now within the last 5-10 years that you would say ranks up there as kama striker?
With a kama striker, I think that you still wouldn't think of them as their strikes. You know what I mean? Like even you look at someone like Philip Brumet, his strikes are really clean and strong. But I still think of just all the other stuff he does, you know what I mean? Which is like insane, insane.
Yeah, crazy awesome.
But I think
Cole? I think Cole is super, super clean as well.
Cole was super clean.
Maybe it's just the sport today. You don't see as much variation with the striking because it's so much.
I always say Tim Conkle when it comes to kamas.
I like Tim.
I always really liked his, and also I liked his flying kama. So like his flying kama was always cool to me, and he brought that back this weekend. Apparently, it's the first time he's done flying kamas in a long time. And then and I think of Edgar Cordova with his flying kamas. Sam is great at his traditional kama, very good, and honestly, like he's taken that to a level that is tough to do. Like honestly, I wouldn't have expected kama to do well against sword in traditional weapon in this day and age. I really wouldn't.
I think he shows up such a presence in the ring and a performance in the ring, and I think he could probably put a lot of different weapons in his hands and get scored pretty well. And that's I say that as a compliment.
Of course, it's the presence. It's and it's that overall. Like he's just a great martial artist, I think. So. Sure. And for me, one of my favorites is Connor. I
Connor,
think,
yes, thank you.
Connor is, and
he still strikes. He tries to do some creative and different things. To win, if you want to win, you got to do all this other stuff now. That's a flaw of the judging, right? Of the sport. That's how we got where we are. But Connor, I love Connor.
I think though with kamas now, it's very similar to kicks, really. I think people think that the only difficulty is like it's hard to like go and turn it upside down, and doing that and going around different, doing those types of things, turn upside down,
and doing it fast and powerful.
And powerful. Yeah. Not slow, like boom, 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 to where almost you don't even realize that he just turned it upside down 4 or 5 times. Right.
Right.
So there's that. And I think it's kind of the same thing with kicking, people don't think that's hard, but then you don't see it as often. So obviously it's hard, right? So
my God. I'm ashamed, but I have so many Team Infinity guys that they can fly. Man, they can fly, and they're powerful. And then their splits are like not even 90 degrees. You know,
Right,
oh my
right,
God,
right,
you
right.
guys.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Oh, man.
I blame myself mostly.
Yeah, but you always had a good sidekick, though. So at least you could sidekick.
Still do.
Yeah, you still do. You still do. You do a
Maybe
lot
I'll
of
come
things.
out. We did Ul G for one of our master's team modules, our black belt modules. And so I've memorized Ul G, and I'm like, I wonder what Jeff would think of my Ul G. I tell Eric
Uh-oh.
Barnard, I'm like, you think I got it better at Ul G than Jeff?
Nice. Nice.
He's like, do it. So
Oh,
we'll
man.
see. Maybe I'll get out there.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Oh, man. This has been fun, man. And like I said, you're always welcome to come on anytime. Talk about all kinds of stuff. Again, guys, go support him and Jeff this year at the Infinity Nationals. And just, if you guys, both of us, as well as Alex, are always open, send us messages about, if you want something about sport karate, about business, about open your school, doing seminars, whatever it is, needing a coach, we're always open, man. So
For sure. Same
awesome,
here.
man. Awesome,
DM
man.
me.
So
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
congratulations on 15 years.
Thanks,
It
man.
really is amazing. It's not easy to do.
No.
So you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you, my friend.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
for you.
I appreciate it, brother. All right. Everyone, we don't have Alex. His power went out. So this was another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Jeff. That's Mike Welch. Have a blessed day, guys.